Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now we're taking a look here today specifically at Bitcoin. There's no altcoins at this point in time. Pretty much null and void based on the fact that all the altcoins are suffering severely with Bitcoin breaking below 30,000. So we're going to take a look closer, take a deeper dive into Bitcoin and what's going on, and kind of see if we're more bullish or bearish essentially. So you can consider taking position more comfortably or confidently. But I'll be honest with you, it doesn't look good right now. And we'll go ahead and see that here closer in just a moment. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research. And just know I have years of trading experience, and my goal is to help trade you, not trade you for a lifetime. I think you know where I'm going with that, to help you trade for a lifetime. Because I wouldn't trade you for the world, right? You're awesome. All of my subscribers and patrons, you've made my life a much better place, and I really appreciate all your support and the wonderful feedback that I get. So thank you again for that. Appreciate you. But moving forward, enough rambling from me. You'll hear I do that sometimes. Let's just go ahead and get right into the video. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. And just before we do, I like to preface with the fact that I use TradingView desktop application, tradingview.com. I have a link in the description below if you'd like a discount on signing up or registering for that. It helps us both out, of course. Feel free to reference that in your own time. But for now, let's take a look at Bitcoin. And what we do is we look at the big picture first and work our way down. That's the best way to be a good trader, is to not just jump in with the first thing you see on the 15 or the 1 minute chart. You want to look at the big picture here. So we're going to take a deeper dive into Bitcoin here today. So taking a look at the 1 day chart first. Pretty straightforward. We have a pretty obvious thing here. Now I deleted, I removed 42,000 for my resistance level because honestly, we're going to need to create some new support levels because this is now a major resistance. It's been tested quite a few times and we'll see that here in a moment. But on the 1 day chart, let's take a quick look at some other oscillators and kind of see what's going on here. So RSI is creeping ever so close to 30. We're at about 33, 34 right now, which may not seem like a big deal, but when it goes under 30, it has a tendency of wanting to ramp back up. So there's a strong chance we'll get one of two scenarios. Price will come back over 30,000 and kind of go back, go sideways for a while and do what it's been doing for some time, which is probably pretty likely. Or it could, of course, drop below 29,000 and then it's open season all the way down to about 24,000. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but just saying that is kind of the next potential opportunity or scenario more so in this situation, okay? But with the RSI, one other thing to note is you can see here is that minus this one increase up over to I think when it tested about 42,000 roughly. And what day was that? In June 15th, which was over a month ago, by the way. We've had the RSI under 50 the entire time. Okay, so the RSI has basically been working as a resistance level, and it's very common for that to happen for the RSI. Now, I don't put a ton of weight on that, of course, because it's just one of those things that's, kind of, it's not like you want to base your trade on it, right? But it's just confirming the fact that we've been in a bearish trend for some time now, and it will likely continue until we have, days of, continuous increase. But we've just had this constant sell-off for the most part, at least in the last 3 weeks, we've seen just nothing but downward sideways action. So a lot of downward consolidation. Either way, that's kind of what's going on with those here. Something else we wanted to mark here as well, which I'm saddened to the fact that we have to do this, but we do want to mark 24,000 on our indicator here because that is a pretty strong support level from prior months or in the prior years rather at this point. So just keep in mind there's a strong likelihood if it continues down past 29,000, we'll see it somewhere between 29 to 24. That's kind of the next major situation for Bitcoin. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at there, but I just want to mark that really quick and also note too, I won't bother marking it, but 29,000 is essentially one of the next major support levels. I wouldn't even say it's a major support. It's been tested one time and we truly don't know if it's going to hold. But I would say if the price comes below 29,000 in the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to see a shot straight down to 24,000. I think it'll continue on past that with no potential support in mind, right? So just keep that in mind. We're hoping that doesn't happen, but that is a possibility. There's a likelihood there. All right, so looking quickly at the moving averages too, just to note, we're obviously under both. That really is irrelevant at this point based on the fact that we've had just constant sell-off in the last 48 hours. All right, so let's look at the 4-hour chart and see what's going on here. Same thing applies here too. Obviously, we have a major resistance level for both 200 and the 50. So no surprise there. We're going to see that for a while now. We may see the 50 intersect with the price action if we can continue to go sideways for maybe a week or two. But for now, we're not going to see any kind of testing of the 50-day simple moving average for some time. I don't foresee that happening. We need to get over this first major milestone of 30,000. And it's been tested. Take a look at this here. It's been tested almost 4 times. Okay. Now, oftentimes, the more likely, a resistance is to be broken, the more frequent it's tested, right? There's definitely that likelihood, but the fact that it's holding down is a pretty strong rejection at this point. That tells me that even though it could eventually break, I don't think it's going to break anytime soon. I think we're going to get a lot more consolidation under the 30,000, and we're going to see it kind of come down and test 29,000 as the next immediate situation, because right now it looks like it's dropping down about 29.5. Again, it tends to waver, tends to jump up and down a good 500 to 700 just on an average 4-hour time frame, but we could expect to see that come lower. Looking at the RSI, it is fairly low. All right, so keep that in mind. With the RSI being close to 30, there's a chance that it could try to just bounce back because it's considered oversold. But we thought that for a long time up here as well, when the price was continuously going sideways and down. I think with a little bit more sideways action, we get about 24 hours more of just straight sideways between 29 and 30,000. That RSI will start to creep up a little bit, and it'll sell off even further. MACD, big surprise here. We had a major divergence yesterday, and that kind of set everything into place. So I do think we're going to see a leg down again soon. I'm not trying to be pessimistic here. I just think realistically, since we lost that major support of 30,000, it's kind of, in a sense, wide open for the most part, minus that 29,000 that was tested one time. Okay, and it was tested one time on one day. In the recent past, let's see here, when was that? That was June 22nd. So almost exactly like, 29 days ago that was tested. So that's literally like the only major support level. And technically that's about 28,800. So I wouldn't expect to see, a major ramp back up from Bitcoin at this point. All the indications are telling us it's still a bear market. Things are still bearish. It's not to say that it couldn't turn around eventually, but I do think that now that it's under 30, it's going to stay there for some time. That's just my sentiment. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that is a likelihood at this point. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the 1-hour chart. So looking at the 1-hour chart, first of all, we're gonna do our typical remove the SMA lines because they're less relevant at this point. We want to take a look at the cloud, which is going to be pretty obvious. I think we all knew this was coming. Prices under the cloud, big surprise. This is a big dark gray cloud, or obviously it's very red, but it could be construed as a gray cloud because it's gloomy. It's the sun is not shining on Bitcoin today, nor will it in the very near future, right? We're gonna have to see a ramp back up to somewhere around the range of 30,500 to even test the cloud. And it will likely work as a resistance level, as it has multiple times in the past. I mean, look at this, resistance, again and again. Like, it's just continuously getting hammered. So just bear that in mind. The cloud is really null and void at this point. At least it will be for probably another 24 hours. TD sequential, not really seeing much here, of course, on the 1-hour chart. Usually it's pretty reliable in the sense. There was a point in which it did come close. I think it hit a 9 right back here, and we were expecting some type of reversal. It did reverse up only about 3 or 4 hours later, just tanked. Unfortunately, I took a couple positions here with my signal group, and that didn't work out so well. So that's very unfortunate. But typically when you see a 9 on the TD sequential, it's a fairly reliable resource to let you know that, hey, there's a reversal coming. It did reverse, it just retraced significantly hard and drove us under 30,000. So that was an unfortunate turn of events, but that does happen sometimes with Bitcoin. It's very unreliable lately. So the only thing that's consistent is the fact that it's consistently selling off. And I would say if you are considering a short position, it wouldn't be a terrible thought. I actually have a short position open right now. That being said, let's go ahead and move on to the 15-minute chart. And taking a look at the 15 here, not really much to disseminate based on the fact that it just consistently is consolidating. Traditionally, I look at the 15-minute chart to try to find good entry points, but there's nothing here that I see that's attractive. Even if I were to turn this on, prices under EMA, prices under VWAP, I mean, there was one consideration here, but buying right there would have been a bad call because we're still under support, right? You want to wait until a major resistance level, correction, it was a resistance level, is tested and broken before you take entry. So future reference, if you get a, oh great, I've got two solid green bars above EMA and VWAP, I'm going to take entry. Don't do that if there's a major resistance level only $100 or $200 away. Okay, so that's just something to be mindful about. It's easy to kind of overlook when you get kind of excited. Oh, the price is going to break through. Until it breaks through and stays above and holds above for just say 1 to 4 hours minimum, there's no point in taking entry. Yeah, because I had that question asked to me recently. Should I take entry at this point? It's probably best you wait until we break above and hold above 30,000 first before you even consider a long position. Even though it's very attractive and juicy to be, oh, 29.5, I'm going to get in and ride it all the way to 31, 32,000. It doesn't work that way. I mean, if you were to short, on the other hand, probably a different story, right? There's a strong likelihood it's going to come up, test, and reject, and come right straight back down to go down to the, I would say, 29 or 28,800. Again, if we lose that time frame. In other words, in the next 24 to 48 hours, if we on the 1 day chart that 1 day chart candlestick closes, I think we're going to go ahead and see a retracement essentially. So if we lose, we go underneath 29,000, you want to be very, very careful because that's going to be bad news for a lot of folks. So either way, that's kind of what we're looking at here for the 15-minute chart. Not really, again, too much to really note. We'll take a quick peek at the 1-minute chart, but it's kind of irrelevant at this point based on the fact that it's pretty standard Bitcoin movement. It has a tendency of doing this where it ramps up, 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 and up, and then over, and then just retraces back down. It's kind of going in this crazy channel where, the bulls are fighting the bears, that whole consolidation period. We're probably going to see this for another 24 hours, or my speculation is the next less than 24 hours, we're going to see the price retrace back down and kind of come down. Again, that's just my guess, my thoughts based on the overall technical that I see here, all the technicals I've seen so far. There's no bullish sentiment I see whatsoever. Only reason we might see a bullish turnaround is if we get another couple of days of consolidation, the price bounces up above and holds above 30,000 for maybe another day or two, and then we'll see it to start, kind of creeping back up again. But at this point now, 30,000 is the major resistance, and we have to respect that. So just be careful, be cautious when you take entry, especially on a long position. Wait for full-on confirmation. Like I'd mentioned before on the 15-minute chart, take a look and make sure before you jump in, you have the opportunity to have the resistance level been broken first. Okay, that's rule number 1. Major resistance levels come first. And once you break that, then you honor the price being above EMA and VWAP and the two solid green bars above that, right? So this means nothing if we have a major resistance there. So again, just wait if you can. Be a patient trader at this point. If you're considering, maybe setting a buy limit, a limit buy order, maybe consider 30,100. Wait for it to cross that plane and stay above. But I want to recommend you and urge you essentially to wait for confirmation above that time frame. In other words, above 30,000, you want to wait and you want to have a large enough time frame. I would say at least 2 or 3 1-hour bars closing above that, or more importantly, you want to get a 4-hour candlestick to close above 30,000 in order to feel comfortable with the fact that we're actually in the $30,000 range. I would much rather prefer, honestly, a 1-day chart. We want to see a 1-day candle close above. Once we get a candle to closing above 30,000, then it's a case in point where we want to consider a long position. Those are things that I'm waiting for. Until then, I am bearish on Bitcoin, and I think it's going to continue to go down to test at least 29,000 in the next 24 to 48 hours. I hope I'm wrong, but part of me hopes I'm right too, because I feel like that is the case, and I do have an open position, short position with Bitcoin right now too, through my Signal group. Feel free to recommend or refer to that on your own time. That's the link in the description below. But if you did find benefit, of course, please feel free to consider subscribing. If not, thank you to my current patrons and subscribers for checking this out, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay positive. We got this. It's not a big deal. This is normal Bitcoin behavior. Very standard, very normal. It's nothing to lose focus on. Yes, it's damaging our altcoins heavily. There's really no altcoin minus like SLP and a small handful of other ones that are worth anything that are maybe about 10 to 20% growth here today. And that's just that knee-jerk reaction that happens when Bitcoin sells off. All right, so I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you the next one.